Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from all around the world, my name is Ali Mehdaoui. This is the ME Show, and boy, oh boy, allow me to get excited and fired up because today I have the privilege of speaking with Dr. Obioma Martin, a global leadership strategist, trauma-informed educator, and publisher of the B.R.E.A.T.H.E, that is B.R.E.A.T.H.E, again, the series that is coming out we're excited about as we mark Mental Health Awareness Month. We'll dive into her latest anthologies that are amplifying women's voices in healing and resilience. And I am super, super excited. Her full story, as we've done a few different features with Dr. O, as we love to call her, together. So make sure if you want to dive more into her story, her powerful story, her past, her experiences with her own life, her own relationships, definitely make sure you check on the description as we're going to include that as well. But Dr. O, I am super excited to have you here once again. And thank you for this exclusive. Thank you for giving me the privilege to collaborate, work with you, and just put a little bit of a positive dent into your message that the world needs to hear. How are you doing today?
I am absolutely amazing. And thank you, Ali, for the introduction and the opportunity. Yes.
Yes, indeed. All right, I want to dive right in. You got a brand new series that we are super, super excited and pumped that we can share with our own audiences as much as the vast world that is waiting for it. What inspired the creation of the Breathe Again series?
Absolutely. So my own story, I published the first book, Breathe, in 2018, and
Mm,
it was so painful. It took me a year to get through the first chapter because of my trauma. And so what people don't know about me, what they see is the accolades and the credentials and all the stages, but if they really knew me, they would know that I dealt with suicidal ideations from the age of about 18 to 40. So
wow.
this work is really, really important. So once I finally gave voice to the things that I was dealing with, which is what I share in the Breathe book, the original version of it, so many women were healed because I was brave enough to live in my truth and to
Yeah.
talk about it. And
How
so
does?
I thought, go ahead.
No. Please, you
So
talk.
I then was really inspired and encouraged to create opportunities for women to share their own stories in a safe space, understanding that they're not in a place when you're in your healing journey, you're not in a place to tell the full story because it's layers to it, right?
Yeah.
However, if I could get them to open up and just share a chapter, that
Hmm.
would allow them to begin kind of pulling back the layers and giving voice to their own story, their own trauma, and begin their own healing journey.
I just told you about my own personal story. It took me, I'm about to turn 41 in a couple of months, and it took me a lifetime to get to a moment of courage with my own father and mother, which the devil is a liar, putting all these ideas. They're gonna leave you. They're not gonna want to talk to you. They're not, and then all of a sudden, hey, mom, dad, I love Jesus.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like we love
Yeah.
you. We're happy for you.
Yeah, yeah. And so here's the thing about this anthology is that a lot of times, just like you shared, we
Yeah.
allow our own enemy,
Hmm.
INNER, enemy to self-sabotage and to harass us and making us think that we are going to be abandoned, neglected, and rejected, thrown away, all of these things. And this is why creating opportunities for women to share their truth and share their story and lift their voice is so important because once they do, they realize number one, they're not alone. And number two, they're loved, they're cared for, they're protected, and they're surrounded by a community of like-minded individuals and people who have also experienced the exact same traumas.
Absolutely. So on that note, storytelling is a major element. So how does storytelling help in the process of trauma recovery?
Oh, absolutely. Because number one, two things you get to tell your story either in first person or in second or in third person, like
Yeah.
the creativity of storytelling. You get to tell your story any way you want to, and you get to be creative and play around with it until you get to the point where you're brave enough to say, that is actually me. I'm talking
Yeah.
about me. Yeah.
Yeah. How did you select 22 authors that are featured in this incredible project? I mean, I'm sure you had to go through, I gotta make sure they're the right people, not just any people.
So here's the truth. These are women that have allowed me to kind of do life with them.
Mm,
And the first book, Breathe Again 2, The Rise from the Ashes, those women have been attending my self love retreat over the last 5 years. And so it was through that work that I got to hear their stories. And it was over the course of those 5 years that those layers were being pulled back. And so I'm like, are you ready to share your story so that
no,
others can be healed, so that others can glean and grow? And so they said yes. So they were not strangers. They were women that I've had the opportunity to do this work with and do life with. And so as much as I've been a part of their healing journey, they very much have been a part of mine as well. And
yeah.
then the third volume is the volume that is launching in Birmingham, UK. And so I got to work with those women last year for the first time in a retreat setting like the one that I do locally.
Hmm.
And I was so inspired by those stories. I just asked them, would you give me permission to share what you've experienced and what you've overcome with the world? And so that's why this one is titled, This is What Coming Back Looks Like, because
Yeah.
they didn't stay where they were. And not only did they return, but they returned stronger, they returned wiser, and they returned to tell it.
So I love it. Not only it's a practical element that you're teaching, but you add that story and real testimonies. I mean, I can only imagine the inspiration that's going to come out of it. What are the key themes, if there are any, that emerged from the women's stories that you've been working with?
Absolutely. So number one, this is the legacy work. I'm
Well,
so excited about this because in volume one, there are generations, meaning there is a mom, a daughter, and a granddaughter.
hmm.
There's my mother and my daughter.
Wow.
There's another two sets of mother daughter stories in it. Like, I didn't realize it when I was putting it together, but these are the same individuals who have been coming to the retreat. Like, I didn't realize that mothers were bringing their daughters, and my mom was a part of the retreat each time. And I didn't realize the work that I was doing. I just was in the work, but I
Yeah.
didn't realize it. And when I started putting these stories together, I was like, this is about to heal women for generations to come. And not only that, more importantly, this is such a preventive and proactive way to prevent domestic violence and crisis and trauma and all the things. And so what's in the book is you see from a broad view lens of how what happened to the mom or what happened to the grandmother trickled down, and you see it in those stories. And it's like, what if we came from a generation where we were no longer quiet
Hmm.
and we were able to speak our truth in a way that was transformative, but also restorative, and not from the perspective of what goes on in this house stays in this house and you can't tell anybody. Because what has happened is that we have lived with shame, we've lived with guilt, we've lived with abandonment and rejection. And truth be told, it has made a lot of people become narcissistic, right? It's made a lot of people become their abuser. And so we have to share these stories and we have to talk about it. So the themes are very repetitive in terms of I was neglected, I didn't know who I was, the trauma and the abuse, not just the abuse from a spouse, but the parent abuse,
Yeah.
the parental abuse that happens, the turning away, the closed mouth, I'm not going to say anything, or, I'm not going to protect you because I need protection.
Yeah.
So many things that as a child, as a daughter, as a son, we don't even know that our parents are going through. All we know is, why aren't you protecting me? Why aren't you sticking up for me? Why aren't you saving me? But they're also in the same situation, but just in a different context.
100%. You are on it, sister. Man, that was that. Yeah, that was the experience that I had with my father. When my whole life I've seen my father as, you've abandoned, you never cared, you never, not the generalization of my anger towards what I was experiencing. And then we had a conversation where he opened up about his childhood for the first time. Mind you, my father is 69 years old. And for the first time in my entire life, that I had an honest conversation with my father where I felt like this cannot be real. It was so like so mesmerizing. And my wife texted me like, "Hey, don't forget about your little family. We're waiting for you." I said, "Leave me alone. My father is crying. I'll call you back, please, please." Yeah. And then I'm like, let me fix that message. That's gonna be so bad. Hey babe, here's what's happening. Here's what's happening. So it's I get it, and I think my next question would probably have something to do with it.
Hi, I'm Dr. Obioma Martin. As women CEOs, we carry more than just titles. We carry faith, responsibility, and the weight of leading at the highest level. But too often, I hear stories of women feeling unseen, unsafe, or forced to hide parts of who they are just to fit in. And that is why I created the Global Breathe Lounge, a sacred faith-based space designed exclusively for 24 women leaders. Every month, we get together as a circle of trust. 3 women from each industry, carefully matched, so you're connected with the right peers, not the wrong people. This is not just networking. This is a sanctuary, a space where women of faith can breathe deeply and stand in their power and lead without apology. A place where you are never preyed upon, but always poured into. This Global Breathe CEO Lounge is about authenticity, connection, and kingdom leadership. It's about creating a safe seat at the table where you can exhale, share openly, and be celebrated for exactly who you are. If you're ready to claim your seat in this sacred space, visit obioma.org today. The Global Breathe CEO Lounge, where faith meets leadership and where women CEO rise together.
Because thank God for my faith, or my journey, my spiritual journey. I learned to see Christ in everyone and empathize. Have the sense of, "Well, I don't know what he's going through, but I'm sure hurt people hurt people. There's something that led him there, right?" So my question to you is, how do you see faith intersection with healing from trauma?
So here's the thing. Number one, every woman in the story, in the anthologies, they are women of faith. I
Yeah.
didn't know that, right? That's something else I didn't know because I never tried to impress or, push my faith, my belief on anyone. But that's also kind of the through line where all of them shared, I had to cry out to God, or, I believe God. I trusted God in the darkest moments, and my last breath, my last cry when I had nothing. All I had was God. And I cried out to God and I prayed and right. So it's this through line of, but God.
Yeah.
But God, like, no matter where we find ourselves, no matter where the women in the book found themselves, they all got to a point where they acknowledged it was me and God. It was
Yeah.
only God that got me through this. It was only God that brought me through this. It was only God that covered me, that protected me, that saved me, even in the midst of the abuse. God protected my mind. He allowed me not to go crazy. He allowed me not to commit suicide. There is such a through line of how God entered in and was the third man in the fire.
when you look at it that way, it also softens your heart, and it allows you to start the healing journey, because it's like the woe is me component, like, well, my this happened and this happened and this happened, and then when you see somebody else that had it 10 times worse than you are, and you're like, all right, I'm not going to complain anymore. Thank you. It wasn't that bad, right? It's the concept of, I used to feel bad for the person that had no shoes until I met the person that had no feet. And it's
Yes,
like, ah,
yes,
thank
yes,
you. I'm grateful. Yeah,
yes.
I love that. I'm intrigued to hear your perspective on how can leaders or how can organizations better support, whether leaders in families or leaders in business places or leaders in churches or whatever it may be, better support mental health and resilience. What would you advise or kind of give?
Number one, we have to acknowledge it and not and we need to, as a community, remove the stigma that is connected to mental health. There used to be a time when culturally, and I don't know about you for Ali, but culturally for the African American Black community, it was such a taboo, like, oh, you're crazy because you need to see a shrink. And
Mm,
what I found out, interestingly, I was listening to a podcast with Kirk Franklin, and Kirk Franklin was talking about how the definition of shrink and the reason why therapists are known as shrink is because they literally shrink your problem so that they can help you get to the solution or help you get to the answer. Because think about it, if we magnify the problem, then it stays overwhelming for the person that is going through it. But if we can shrink it and allow them to see it's really not that big and you can either get through it or overcome it. We
yeah.
just don't need to magnify it, right? That is actually the strategy. And so when we understand shrink is not a bad thing, shrink is actually a very powerful thing that we need to do, because the word of God tells us to lean not to our own understanding, but to acknowledge him in all of our ways. And then the other component of that, to your point, is Philippians 4:8 says to think on these things that are true, that are of a good report, that are praiseworthy. And so when we think about mental health, it is really the absence of thinking on those things that are trustworthy, that are of a praise report, that are good news. Think about it. Mental health, the foundation and the root of it is that mentally we have been meditating on the things that are negative and on the things that have happened to us. And so we need not to ignore what happened to us, but we definitely don't need to take residency there.
Mm, that was deep. How do you hope the readers will take to heart, or what do you hope they take out of these anthologies?
I hope that they see themselves and that they give themselves permission to heal, that they give themselves permission to have the difficult conversations, the hard conversations, and they give themselves permission to forgive themselves and to forgive their abusers and to forgive their accusers and really to just get to a place where what they did no longer haunts them, what they did no longer torments them, because what they did does not define who they are becoming and who God says that they are.
I love that. As we're coming to a close for what I wish could have been a 10-hour sit down with you, because I could pick your brain forever. What is your final call to action for anybody that is listening to this video or audio? Assuming it's going to be on our podcast as well. What is your CTA for our people? What would you like their next step to be?
Go to amazingyou.com and get your copy of the book today. You can definitely find me on Amazon as well. You can order the book from there. And then, Ali, I have coming up my self-love retreat where I do this work. And so if you're feeling like the book ain't going to do it for me, or even if you're feeling like there is no hope for you, I welcome you. I have 3 rooms left, 3 seats left. You too can be a part of this breathe experience and figure out how to fall unconditionally, unapologetically in love with you so that you can no longer hurt you and heal and rise and become who you were created to be.
Beautiful. And I got a surprise for you. I want to do something. If you're like this is truly, ladies and gentlemen, she has no idea what I'm about to do. Okay, so check it out. You know, I have a little thing with my travel world, right? And what we want to do is for the from the moment this is going to air, we are mid-May until mid-June, meaning all the way until June 15th, once a week. We're going to give away a 2 nights, 3-day all-inclusive trip to anywhere in the Caribbean or Mexico that includes food, the stay, and beverage. Eat, drink until you have enough and drink responsibly. And it's fully comped, meaning the only thing the individual has to pay for is their taxes. But everything else is going to be fully comped. And what we're going to do is, number one, you get a copy. Number two, you take a selfie with your copy, and then you tag Dr. O or anyone from her team, and we'll make sure all the social media assets are included in this episode. So whichever platform that you are in, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, just make sure A, you get a copy of the book, B, take a selfie of the book and tag Dr. O about whatever you want from the actual anthologies itself. And now you do that, and once a week, from mid-May all the way until June 15th, we're going to literally do the wheel of anybody who's done that, and then live giveaway of 2 nights, 3 days, all-inclusive trip either to Mexico or the Caribbean. And by the way, you get a +1 included too. So you can bring a honey with you and have a blast. So that's what we're going to do for you from now until June 15th as a giveaway from us to you.
How awesome is that? Thank you.
That is good.
Thank you. That is so awesome.
Right on. Good stuff. Well, Dr. Obioma Martin, first and foremost, thank you so much, not just for being here today, not for giving me this exclusive, but for the work that you continue to do in the lives of all the women and the leaders and the men too, families, communities around the world. In what I believe, this is a time where many people are unfortunately suffering in silence, that many people are carrying their trauma, their grief, their pressure, and their own invisible battles, if you will. Your message reminds me personally that healing is not a weakness, but it's actual leadership, right? Like taking a step to doing the right thing for yourself. The Breathe Again movement is more than just a book series, ladies and gentlemen. It's a call for women to reclaim their voices. It's to comfort their pain. It's to transform their story into legacy. And if today's conversation moved you, if it challenged you, if it inspired you, if it even upset you, that tells you that's day one. That's the beginning. That's where you got to go and do something about it. So to connect with Dr. Obioma Martin or learn more about her mission, get her book, obviously make sure that you tap into her coaching, her leadership development, and get a copy of Breathe Again anthology series. Make sure that you visit amazingyou.com or just check the description that we have along with this episode, wherever you're listening to it. My name is Ali Mehdaoui, and as always, you don't just tell the stories when you come in here to our world. We actually amplify the movement. And today, Dr. O just took it to a whole new level. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I love you. And one day you're going to know how much. Appreciate you, Dr. O.
Hi, I'm Dr. Obioma Martin, and I want to invite you to something truly amazing, the Believe Bigger 8-week group coaching program. I created this program for women who may not necessarily have the resources to work with me individually in executive coaching. However, you still deserve a space to grow, learn, and scale together. And this is why I created this space for us to come together for 8 weeks. We meet once a week online, and in that time, we focus on mindset mastery, discovering your purpose, stepping into your power, and showing up with presence as women leaders, CEOs, and mothers. The truth is, no matter your industry, we all face challenges that can feel isolating. But when we come together, we realize we're not alone. And it becomes crystal clear that it is okay to dream bigger, and to believe bigger, and to do it in a community that truly sees you. If you're ready to step into a space where your growth is nurtured and your journey is celebrated, join us today. Visit obioma.org and let's believe bigger together.